What's going on YouTube? Dave back again, and today we're going to be doing pretty much a speed build on Mortarion. Now disclaimer before we get into everything has already been trimmed, clean, all of the mold marks taken off of it and everything. Pretty much the only thing we're going to be using is a bottle of Tamiya extra thin cement. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the build that I ended up doing on this. It was a lot of fun to do. You'll see that in a lot of spots, I'm just doing a little spot of the Tamiya extra thin cement. These little ports for the hose, I just do a drop in there, line it up, and then drop it in. On the section for the waist, I just ended up running a bead along the piece and then putting it together. Now I had thought about magnetizing the legs to the body, but I decided I'm not going to do anything fancy smancy with this. I'm just going to put it all together, get her all primed up. What usually ends up preventing me from finishing something is, I get all into the details and, hacking it, slashing it, pinning it. And I decided on this one, I just wanted to work on it. Now, one of the things I did end up doing that was kind of annoying is on the bottom of the feet, they were rounded and not front to back, which would be normal, but side to side, and it made it look cartoony to me. So I just ended up leveling those off with a file. Now in hindsight, it probably would have been smarter to leave a lot of these little bits off so that I could, paint everything and then put them on, but I didn't want to lose anything. I have to say the engineering on this kit is very well done. I think that's one of the differences between the old style and the newer style is most of these newer designs are all done in CAD and then 3D printed in a mold, I guess you would end up putting, and then done that way versus it being sculpted traditional style in a resin or in a clay and then molded. You got the pipings off the back. Now I haven't put on any of the smoke for any of the pieces you'll see later on because I haven't determined whether I would actually want to do like a cotton smoke or if I want to use the pieces that were included in the kit. These little pieces that attach to the base, you want to make sure and glue them really well. One of the reasons I use the Tamiya extra thin on something like this is it melts the plastic so it creates a permanent bond that won't break, but at the same time it's not so goopy that it ends up squirting out of the seams and you have to go back along and basically do a double work. Now on the sides of the cape here, you do want to make sure and get everything all lined up. I decided to run a bead of glue on the inside. And the way they ended up doing this is you put this centerpiece on, and then this piece here, you want to tilt it forward, slide it in, and then tilt it back. That's the only way that's going to fit in properly. I do really like the design that they ended up doing for these lower pieces with the stitching. It makes it seem seamless, and I think it holds better in the long run. and it's looking pretty epic. But there's a lot more accessories and stuff to put onto here. We've got this little piece up here, which was a little finagly to get in there. I just laid it in there and then I dropped in the glue. You've got these pieces on the sides that have the chains, and some of them have the nurglings that hang off of it. One of the great things when you're working with something like the corruption, nurgles, things like that, even if you make a mistake with the glue, you're not really going to notice it because they're so grimy and, well, nurgly. Now the base, one of the things I forgot to show is I did glue the two pieces together before I started gluing it to the base. And I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it on the base on this, but I know that I am going to decorate. Now here you have some closed pins, you know, you find in collars when you buy shirts. And I just ran a couple through the pieces on, I sped through that a little fast, but through the cape pieces, and that's just to hold it temporarily until I get everything all primed up. These little guys, they're kind of finagly, like their heads are attached to the chains, but then their bodies. I did, when I clipped these off of the runners, I marked the wings, their numbers, so that I made sure to get the right wing on the right side. I think it turned out pretty good. The way that they've layered these is kind of genius. I did run a little extra glue onto that just to give it extra support because it is just kind of dangling there. And in case it gets brushed or bumped, I didn't want it to snap off. There's kind of an overview right there of what we've done so far. Looking pretty good, but there's still more. Now on the wings, I have not attached those yet. I have one propped up. It actually gets held on by silence, the side, and it holds up pretty good, but the one for the right side, it needs to be glued, and I just use some blue tack to hold it up. It's the only pieces that get attached are these little cables right here. They were a little finagly, but once you get it, it looks great. We've got some more of the chains with the nurglings and the incense balls. More little wings to attach here. And I was surprised they actually fit into the slots very well. Little nurglings for the base, and then we've got the arms. The way I ended up laying this out was I have these nacho trays that I ended up picking up a couple years ago, and I had each of the sections of the manual broken down, clean, trimmed, and put into each of the slots for these little, you know, nacho trays, and that worked out perfect. Now on this one arm for the left, or the left arm, I did end up gluing it down because with the scythe on there, it kept popping off. Now for this arm, which is the right arm, I believe, I was kind of concerned because there was a seam down the middle, but there's an icon, like a chaos icon that goes over it, which covers it up, which is perfectly fine. This gun is actually a really freaking cool. I forgot offhand what the name of it is, but it comes in 3 different pieces that sandwich together. Technically, they could have molded the whole thing in one, but I think it looks a lot better like that. And there's that icon piece that I was telling you about. So just lay it out on there. And just a couple drops on there. It'll wick in. Basically, what ends up happening with the Tamiya extra thin cement is as you put it on there, the capillary action actually wicks it into the gap. So that's why you don't end up getting it all over the place. Hold it for a couple seconds. And attach it on. Now, here's where I made a mistake. So I put on the arm, and I didn't pay attention to the manual. The head actually goes on first because of the cowl piece actually goes underneath that hose that goes from the shoulder piece to the chest piece. I did get it on there just fine. I had to do some finagling to work it in there, but keep that in mind, guys. Just follow the directions because they are there in an order for a reason. There's attaching silence. I think it's just kind of badass. And here's for the head. Now there are 2 different faces that come with this, and one is a straight on looking and the other is looking down the barrel. I decided to go with that one. I think it depends on, because you can set this up where you have the scythe in either the right or left hand, and I decided to go for this pose here. So we've got the head on, we've got the cowl on, and you can see how it drapes down, and that's what I ended up screwing up. And I did end up managing to wiggle it in between that hose and the body, but it was a pain in the butt. So just did a little glue on there, and you can see that's what it looked like after about 3 or 4 minutes of fishing it between those 2 pieces. Now on the left wing, it does fit in there, and you want to, it kind of gets propped in because of the handle of the scythe. It holds pretty fine on this one. I ended up, like I said, using some blue tack to hold that on, squeezing the crap out of it so that it doesn't fall off. It's got these 2 little, and I almost forgot to put them on there, 2 little knobs for the tanks that are above his head, and I had to grab some hemostats to put those on. And there he is, just kind of all done up, and still needs a little bit of cleaning, but hope you guys enjoy. And I'm going to shut up and let you guys see some shots I ended up taking. I really like the dynamics of this. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, make sure and click that subscribe button and the like button and the little bell notification. And until next time, peace out.